What is up, everybody? This is Cody, aka DFS Prodigy, coming to you live to talk about the upcoming Overlay DFS slate. I wanted to go over basically the progressive table first and go over my picks on who I'm liking, so on and so forth. So basically, starting out with, we have Kawhi Leonard up top versus Nikola Jokic. I'm leaning towards Nikola Jokic because of how good he played last game. He's been consistent, getting over 50 points a game. You have Kawhi Leonard, who did go over 50 points last game, but that was because Paul George was in foul trouble. So I'm leaning towards basically I'm getting all the shares I can of Nikola Jokic over Kawhi Leonard. Jason Tatum versus Kyle Lowry. Give me Kyle Lowry in this matchup because of how good he's played. The production is there, usage rate is there. I like Kyle Lowry way more than Jason Tatum, to be honest with you. Tatum has been good, but I'm taking a stand with Kyle Lowry. But that is pretty close, so I might bump that one down. Jalen Murray, or not Jalen Murray, Jamal Murray versus Paul George. Give me Paul George, who the only reason he didn't have a good game last game was because he was in foul trouble. So I'm liking Paul George a lot. Kemba Walker versus Jalen Brown. I'm leaning towards the Jalen Brown side. Kemba Walker, Kemba Walker just was not good last game. Literally only got 19 points in over 50 minutes of playing time. Like, that's crazy. Jalen Brown went off. So I'm leaning toward the Jalen Brown side because of how good he's played. But don't be surprised that Kemba Walker gets it. So I'm basically going to move this matchup down to my alternates, or not even in play because of how close that is. Van Vliet versus Siakam. Give me Van Vliet in this matchup. I like him way more than Siakam. Siakam's not in playoff form at all. I'm loving Van Vliet, to be honest with you, who is a lock in all my lineups, if y'all noticed. OG versus Marcus Smart. I'm going to let others chase that amazing game of Marcus Smart and go to OG Anunoby. OG has been consistent, and just Marcus Smart has been scattered in his production. His good game was last game, but I don't see him doing that again. Lou Will versus Michael Porter Jr. I'm liking Lou Will because of how Michael Porter Jr.'s minutes are all over the place. You can't trust him. He made comments that were pretty skeptical also in his to the press about how he needs more playing time, which I don't think Mike Malone's going to like him saying that. Give me Lou Will in that matchup. Daniel Tice versus Ibaka. We've seen this matchup before. I like Daniel Tice because of how productive he's been. His usage rate is up. He can get blocks. He can get you basically all around stats. Ibaka only plays about 20 minutes, if that. So give me Daniel Tice in this matchup. Zubac versus Harrell. You've seen Zubac basically get minutes all over the place. One day he'll play 10 minutes. The next day he'll play 30 minutes when Harrell's only playing in garbage time. So I'm liking Zubac, even though this matchup's going to be close once again because of how the minutes are between these two players. So just watch out for that matchup. But I'm taking Zubac once again. If I get burned, I get burned. It happens. Jeremiah Grant versus Marcus Morris. So Jeremiah Grant is going to play over 30 minutes because of his starting role, his defensive role. But just be careful because Marcus Morris Sr. can get hot, and that's who I'm leaning towards is Marcus Morris just because of the production. He's a way better player on the court than Jeremiah Grant is. Paul Millsap versus Marcus Sol. So Marcus Sol has not looked great. He's in old form. I don't see him doing well at all. Paul Millsap can get hot, so I'm going to take the hot streak on Paul Millsap, even though he's all over the place. Gary Harris versus Norm Powell. So this is a tough one to me. I'm liking Norm Powell at first glance, but don't get me wrong, I could change over to Gary Harris, but I'm giving Norm Powell just because of how hot he's been. Gary Harris looked good even though he was in foul trouble last game, and I think he is back, but give me Norm Powell for based on his role. Pat Bev versus Monty Morris. I don't like this matchup whatsoever, so I'm just going to pick Pat Bev just because of the minutes I know are going to be there for him. JaMychal Green versus Robert Williams. This matchup is awful to me. I don't like this matchup at all. Robert Williams is barely getting minutes, but when JaMychal Green gets minutes, he looks awful. So it's just a battle of basically who you want to take. Excuse me, guys. Landry Shamer versus Torrey Craig. Torrey Craig got minutes last game. I want to ride that hot streak, basically. Mason Plumlee versus Grant Williams. Give me Grant Williams all day long. So let's basically now go over to the matchup shop. Matchup shop. Here we go. So basically, like I said before, this is the matchup shop. You basically pick the guys you like. It's like a betting sort of thing, and so on and so forth. So again, Kawhi Leonard versus Nikola Jokic. Give me Nikola Jokic. He is the underdog in this, so there's more money to you, basically. Jamal Murray versus Paul George. Like we said before, let's go Paul George. Michael Porter Jr. versus Jeremiah Grant. That's interesting. Give me it's tough. Give me Michael Porter Jr. because when he plays, he can get hot, unlike Jeremiah Grant, whose production is not there. Marcus Morris Sr. versus Paul Millsap. That's another tough one. Zubac versus Harrell. We picked Zubac, remember? Kyle Lowry versus Van Fleet. I'm staying away from that matchup. Pascal Siakam versus OG. Give me Siakam, even though that's pretty scary. Kemba Walker versus Marcus Smart. Give me Marcus Smart. So basically, I like Marcus Smart, Daniel Tice. Those are basically the key guys I'm looking at. Is these bets right here? The Nikola Jokic bet. I'm liking that one. I'm liking the Paul George one, and I'm liking the Michael Porter Jr. one pretty well. Oh, and the Daniel Tice. Give me that one too. So that basically wraps up the video, guys. That pretty much just goes over the plays I'm liking for Overlay DFS Slate. I'm loving this app. Like I'll see the screenshots I banked tonight with Rondo. So that pretty much wraps us up, guys. I hope everybody has a good day, everybody, and have a good day.